Minecraft to play. I can't be wasting my time with nudes. They just get in my way. I forgot to mention, because there was actually another piece to what I was talking about last time with like my grandpa. Maybe it's a trauma response, I'm not really sure, but I wholeheartedly find this situation just kind of funny. And believe it or not, I have a grandpa on both sides of my family. I know, it's bizarre. Downright crazy, bizarre, wacko, scary. I stressed last time how, my grandpa, occasionally he would drop the old classic, and he would say, don't be a dipshit and stuff like that. But I also, again, believe it or not, I know it's kind of bizarre, but I had a grandpa on the other side of my family. I met him like one time that I remember. I probably met him more than once, but like probably when I was like so young, I don't really remember. And a lot of my family is really nice. They can get to that point, obviously, where it's like, alright, you dumbass, and I can't even be like mad. It's funny because the one time that I remember that I met him, I don't know, like everyone was taking forever. That's like a classic thing in my family, is making something just take forever sometimes. So there was like one of those like just super thin like wire hangers, and again, I was super young. I don't know, I might have been like 10 or so at the most, and I was just bored out of my brain that I just started taking it and just like bending it and stuff like that. And another thing, I guess, for context, I'm someone who's usually pretty like cautious is the word I was looking for, especially with things that could like deeply injure me, like a wire hanger. That's one of my like, one of the worst things ever. If I got like a wire like, cut my hand or something, that just sounds like a nightmare. So, and I'm not even necessarily that upset, but I remember this is the one memory that I have of one of my grandparents. Is he was just like, he said something to me, he's like, what are you, some sort of idiot? Something along those lines. That's the only thing that he like ever said to me. He's like, what's up with this moron or something? As I was just like, yeah, like bending a wire hanger. But at the same time, I was sort of thinking the same thing about everyone else there. I'm like, what are up with these idiots? Like, let's get this show on the road. So I guess I can't be like that upset. Is it nighttime? Alright, well, let's just hollow this spot out a little bit, I guess. We'll spend the night in this little cave. See if we can find any gems. Any gemstones. I'm trying to figure out what and why and how. I didn't really like do anything too strenuous today, but my legs are just killing me. I mean, my feet, my legs, the whole thing are just like swollen, just like, yeah, I don't know, something like that. But I'm like, I didn't really do that much. I stood up. At one point or another, I stood up. I was doing quite a bit of sitting. Explain that, Bill Gates. No. Okay, I don't know. I'm gonna freaking build a staircase or something directly to hell. They played, we had the radio on today, and they played Polly by Nirvana. I thought that was an interesting choice. Let me know if you agree. And like stuff, I'm interested to see. Well, I don't know. I mean, we're trending in a direction where like radio is, well, I mean, I don't know. It's very possible that radio could always like have a place in some form. Well, at least for like a good while, because I mean they're doing different radio stations and stuff still, in a way that's like interesting. On like Spotify and stuff, so there's like potential for like a future with radio and stuff like that, I guess is what I mostly mean to say. But I kept, trying to picture what the future would look like for like a throwback playlist. And I know I've talked about this before, but like what what would that look like, just with the way that we all listen to music and stuff like that? Like a throwback playlist. I made my throwback playlist. I continue to make playlists all the time, and that's my throwback playlist. And then what is that going to look like for me when I have kids? Like, oh yeah, this is what I was listening to in 2016. Throw on some Uzi bangers. Even I have some family out of state. Believe it or not, it's a pretty rare thing to have family that's out of state, but I have some. And, it's crazy seeing their context as well, just like, things that we do, even on a daily basis, just in comparison and contrast. But anyway, like, what I was just gonna say was, yeah, like, what I listen to and would consider like a throwback playlist is gonna be almost entirely different. Right now, like, for the last couple of years, actually, for a while now, like Harry Styles has been like a big deal. I actually just for like the first time listened to a couple tracks from him, like for the first time. I've heard of like, the chorus or whatever to, like Watermelon Sugar or whatever, but that was like it. And I didn't even know that was him for like the longest time. So it's like, that's, people say that's like a huge track. Or even Old Town Road, even with all the music, knowledge that I have not heard Old Town Road. I have not. I've heard, the couple second snippet, so I know like the track, and I know what Lil Nas X sounds like, but I have not heard the whole track, or like a whole like minute of the song or anything. Maybe like a full minute at the most, but like even that's like cutting it pretty close. And that's like the biggest song in history, and it's even got like Young Thug on like one of the remixes and stuff. So that's all that I mean by saying like, people might think that's like crazy and bizarre. I'm a bizarro freakazoid. Ha 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 ha. But yeah, like I was saying yesterday, just to like hype myself up, a little bit, I started thinking, I'm like, oh, maybe we can, play some bangers and stuff. Like my friends will show up, maybe we'll all like, I get myself like too hyped up about stuff sometimes. And I know that a lot of the time, some of the stuff that I think of is very much like unrealistic. But I think the thing that's important is sometimes just realizing that, okay, yeah, like this is out of bounds of like reality, but it doesn't necessarily hurt to still like, daydream or whatever, if you want to call it that. I mentioned recently just how I have a playlist of like my top 100 tracks. I'm always working on it, trying to reorganize and figure out like what's my top 100 favorite tracks of all time. And I was like, if I was in a situation, most likely, in a pinch, if someone was like, hey, throw something on, that's like one of the only playlists that I have just like ready to go. So it would just most likely be that one. And I would have at least some confidence in it. Somewhat. But it's like, it's such a weird, mix of music. So it's kind of funny. What the heck? Well, this is interesting. I guess I've been here. Is this where I just came from? Which would make a lot of sense. I was really hoping this would be like, I connected to some cave. But I guess not. I guess I just did a big effing circle. We're gonna continue doing this because I don't know how to build my house. And I know once we reach like some lava or something, it'll get interesting. I'll put this on full blast here.